As the east coast of India braces for a severe cyclonic storm. Well, over the next hour, we will take you through what to expect. Our reporters join us from the areas which are likely to be worst affected. 1.2 crore people could potentially be affected by Cyclone Phailin. But let's take a look now at just what to expect from Cyclone Phailin. Well, currently it's about 400 kilometers from the Indian coastline. And it's barreling towards both Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. According to the latest information from the Met Department, that storm will move northwards and cross North Andhra Pradesh and the Odisha coastline. It's expected to hit, in fact, between Kalingapatnam, not marked on this map, and Paradip, and the center of it is expected to be the popular seaside resort of Gopalpur there. Now, by the time Cyclone Phailin makes landfall, the wind speeds, that's when it's expected to make landfall. That's tomorrow between 5:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. Likely wind speeds at that point could be up to 210 to 220 kilometers per hour. Now, that would put it in the category of the most severe storm. Now, as it moves over the sea, the expected wave heights could also be between 2.5 and 3 meters. So that's a wall of water, in fact, that could be moving towards the coastline as well. Now, low-lying areas could, in fact, be completely flooded. There's also a threat from flying debris, we're told, and the army and disaster management teams on the ready at this point. But of course, we'll bring you much more information about that as well. Now, 5 districts are preparing for the worst impact of that cyclone. Let's just take you through that as well. Well, there you go. We have, of course, the seaside resorts of Puri and Gopalpur. Already we're being told that tourists in these areas have been moved away to Bhubaneswar. Jagatsinghpur district is also likely to, in fact, face the worst of that cyclone, as is Puri and Ganjam. It's not just Odisha that's bracing for that cyclone. It's Andhra Pradesh as well. And Srikakulam is the district that's likely to be the worst affected. Well, let's go right across to, in fact, the first reporter who was on the spot, who's at the place where the cyclone is likely to be, Gopalpur, which is where the center of the cyclonic storm is going to be. Achal joining us at this point. Achal, just take us through the kind of evacuation measures that you're seeing at this point. It's going to be an absolutely mammoth task over the next 24 hours or so.
Absolutely, Ankita. The Odishan administration here, they need to evacuate 2 lakh people. Now, that's a huge number. We went to many coastal areas today. We went to Chilka. Of course, we were in Gopalpur as well. We went to the beach, which you rightly said is at this moment being expected to be at the center of that storm. It is in that area somewhere that people are at this moment expecting landfall to hit. Could be 3 meters as high. So a big task with the administration here to clear all the people who are at least in a 5 to 7 kilometer radius living in kacha houses there. The administration has identified thousands of solid pakka structures which they're converting into cyclone shelters. We spotted at least at 3 different places in 3 different coastal areas the administration vehicles running around with mics, creating awareness, asking people to hop on to their vehicles and go to safety, go to some of these cyclone shelters. We've been informed by the Special Relief Commissioner of Odisha that they are facing some resistance from the people, because remember, Ankita, for these people leaving their home, leaving their huts, sometimes they say that is all they own, their cattle, is of course a big thing to do. At this moment, we'll give you some facts. 2 lakh people need to be evacuated. Thousands of cyclone shelters have been identified, and people in low-lying areas are the priority. The forces helping the governments here. Odisha's government has gotten assurance from the Air Force that 10 planes would be on standby for them if there is a need for these planes to come in and help. They do have 25 teams of NDRF. These teams are going to be carrying with them ropes, rafts and tree cutting equipment, which is going to be needed once the cyclone has hit and the roads need to be cleared. That, of course, is happening. Ganjam, Puri, Khurda and Jagatpuri, these are the districts that Odisha right now is focusing on. But they say that the impact could be way more. That, of course, depends on if this cyclone, in fact, does turn into a super cyclone. We went to a couple of coastal areas, met a lot of people, met the collectors to see what really is happening on the ground. Let's have a look.
A steady exodus in Odisha, people queued up with bags packed up, waiting for their turn to be taken to safety.
आप लोग यहाँ से कहाँ लेके जा रहे हैं? हाई स्कूल लेके जा रहे हैं। हाई स्कूल पक्का बिल्डिंग है इसलिए। तो आप क्या आप लोग पैक किया, क्या सामान लेके जा रहे हैं?
कुछ सामान नहीं, खाली घोड़ा जामा पैंट है।
But it's a race against time.
We have identified all the vulnerable villages. We have about 1,300 villages which are likely to be severely affected. And between 0 kilometers from the coast to up to 10 kilometers, we have already announced for evacuation.
Using trucks and buses, authorities have evacuated 40,000 people from 40 villages to government-run shelters, schools and buildings. Even as they plan to take another 1 lakh people to safer areas before the cyclone hits the region. Rushing at the speed of 210 to 220 kilometers per hour, Cyclone Phailin is all set to wreak havoc in the coastal areas of Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. The very severe cyclonic storm is expected to impact 1.2 crore people, the destruction and devastation of 1999 super-cyclone still fresh. The Odisha government is not ready to take any chances. The administration, called back from the Shera holidays, is working round the clock to prepare for Phailin.
I've just come to see the preparations of the relief materials and the food for people who may be affected by the cyclone.
The Defence Minister has moved the armed forces to Bhubaneswar. 2 IAF IL-76 aircraft have already airlifted 30 NDRF teams with equipments like ropes, rafts, tree-cutting equipment. Indian Air Force, fully geared up, has put its choppers on standby, ready to swoop in with relief. Officials have been stockpiling emergency food supplies. Food, water and other necessary items would be provided in the storm shelters open across the coast. The government has also directed opening of free kitchens.
We're at Gopalpur beach right now. This is expected to be at the center of the storm. Authorities have told us that landfall might hit somewhere in this region. In fact, 1,30,000 families need to be evacuated only from Ganjam district. That is 6 lakh people who can be severely impacted. Reporting from Gopalpur in Odisha, Anchal Vora, NDTV.